another type of fast that we haven't talked about is digital fasting and
Oh, yes.
fasting from social media. If you want to feel crappy about yourself, oftentimes it's just simply looking at how well others are doing.
All right, so welcome, guys. I'd like to introduce you, Josh, and welcome to our next podcast with the Life Rocket University. Very excited about talking about some of the major things that are important to your health, and that is fasting and breathing. So, Josh, we've done some items for our listeners to give them an idea why fasting is very important for your health. So let's get right into it.
Let's dive in.
So why would you starve yourself and why should you do fasting? What's the benefit for me to do that, Josh?
That's a great question, Michael, and a question that a lot of people out there wonder. What is fasting, and why should you be looking into it? And one of the big um, aspects of fasting is that there's different kinds of fasts, and I'm going to touch on two of the types of fasts that I've done,
Yeah.
because I can speak from experience from those, and that is a water fast and then a juice fast. Fasting itself has been done in various forms and has been practiced for centuries for both health and spiritual reasons. A lot of those reasons, they'll do it for detoxification. So fasting gives the digestive system a break and allows the body to eliminate toxins. It helps with your digestion. It can promote better digestive efficiency, and it enhances your brain function. So fasting
Hmm.
increases the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which supports your cognitive function, which we all could use a little help with, especially if you suffer with brain fog.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that is the other thing I was, Josh, I think that if you can maybe give more information, I think when you're fasting, it also helps to balance the bacteria in your gut, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the I guess the bad ones start dying off because it's not feeding on all this sugar and things.
Right. Well, your body's trying to realign itself and get back into our harmonious state. But when you're constantly feeding it, and especially with the type of diet that we have in the
Yeah.
West, you never get a chance to realign your gut bacteria.
So if someone's just getting into it, what's the best way to start? Like obviously you just stop eating, but is there any, what is the length that you would suggest for someone's just starting? And I guess the other important factor that you were sharing with me is how do you break the fast? Because some people definitely, you get hungry and then you
Mm-hmm.
you get a big burger might not be the best option, eh?
Oh, yeah, no, I've learned that the hard way. So when it comes to fasting, now there's two types of fast that I've done. So I'll talk first about the water fast.
Yeah.
And a water fast is something that many people will do, but is the hardest one to do
Mm-hmm.
because your body is not getting any nutritional value. And not only that, we don't just use food to satisfy our hunger, but we also use food to satisfy our pleasure.
Mm.
And having that lack of food and taste and nutrition is it's a mental challenge, and it takes a lot of self-discipline and is the hardest one to do. I've
So
Yep.
basically it's like your fasting is also learning how to control your emotions, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Exactly. Oh, absolutely.
Right. And
And
then that comes to, I think this is very connected and we have this in our course, is the needs that we are meeting by eating, right? Or overeating in some cases.
that's right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And so a lot of times we meet our needs with food.
Yeah.
We've all done it at some point in our lives, and it's comforting. Can be. That's why we have comfort foods and um, ice cream and chips, but it's also important to take a break from eating. Many people believe, you should have 3 meals a day, but a couple hundred years ago, people weren't going to the grocery store to get unlimited amounts of food. Uh, you would eat when you were able to eat, and especially in the wintertime, You wouldn't have been able to eat the quantity of foods that you would normally eat, perhaps in the spring or summer when fruits and
Yeah.
vegetables were in season. So when I first did a water fast, it was 24 hours, and my very first one, and I broke it at like the 20-hour mark. It was difficult to overcome that idea of not eating for 24 hours.
Right. So what were like, because I'm hearing that, when you start doing a fast, there's different symptoms you get from the detoxification, right? So it could be like headaches. Was it more that it was like you were super hungry, or you felt that, you're just going through these detox symptoms?
Your body doesn't necessarily really start like heavily detoxing until about the 3 day mark, but after
Okay.
24 hours, it's more that you're tired. You're tired, you're
Mm,
cranky. You're going against what you're used to. And for some people, not eating for 24 hours can be not a big deal, but for others, a lot of people can't go uh, a day without at least having a meal. They get hangry, as one might
right.
say. Or if they miss
Right.
lunch, they get upset. I personally don't prescribe to a lunch. I do a juice or fruits in the morning, and then I fast until dinner time, a short fast. But that's another topic. But when it comes to water fasting, do 24 hours. Just drink water.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do it in a time when perhaps for the weekend or a day you're not working. And then if you can get through that 24 hours, then you want to push it to 3 days. And that's the 3 day mark is a very crucial mark. So if you can get to 3 days of water fasting, you're one in out of 100 people who can do that. It is very challenging. It is mentally draining. But once you hit that 3 day mark, your body starts adjusting. Your tongue
Mm-hmm.
will go white, depending on how much toxins you have in your body, and you'll start breaking down different fats and stored fat energy and stored toxins for elimination. And this can be hard on your liver and your kidneys. So getting to the 3 days and then stopping from there, reacquainting yourself with healthy foods, especially like soup or uh, easy to digest fruits and vegetables at first,
Mm-hmm.
um, will help cleanse some of the toxins out of your body. But our bodies are very toxic, and so after a few days of your body not having any nutrients or nourishment and starts to break down those toxins in your body, it becomes very difficult for your body to get rid of them unless you're in great health already.
Right, because that's where all the toxins are being stored, right in your fat, in your belly, right? Because that's
Mm-hmm.
where the body just puts them there and kind of deals with it later, right? Because they have probably other inflammation and things that they have to address at that given time.
Yeah.
And other question I've been hearing a lot, it's, that and it could be, it might not be, obviously we're not doctors, but I've been hearing when people that go through fasting, and if they get within the 12 or 24-hour major headaches, that's actually, and it could be an indication of that they have some sort of a parasites, because they're starving, obviously, and they're, releasing chemicals for you to feel miserable, to stop what you're doing because they want to get something as well, right? Did you
Yeah.
ever had that experience?
Yeah, we all have parasites to some degree, and there are
Yeah.
good parasites that are in our bodies, and then there's not good parasites, or we're overcome with too many of one type, which upsets the balance in our bodies. And a lot of the misconceptions are, oh, we should get rid of all parasites in our body, and that's just not appropriate. You don't want to remove all
Yeah. But
parasites.
is there a difference between parasites and bacteria? Like, there is a bacteria that is really good, right? You need it for
Yes.
digesting and everything, but parasites in general, it should be like something you want to eliminate, right?
Yeah, so you want to eliminate the large quantity of parasites and
Yeah.
certain types of parasites that are in your body. And there's different ways to do that. A lot of people will use the papaya seed method,
Mm-hmm.
where they'll dry the papaya seeds and mix it with some honey. And what that does, papaya seeds mixed with honey will trick the parasites because you get something sweet. They attack the honey and they're killed by the peppery flavors of the papaya seed.
Mm.
And then the other uh, method that people would often use in the old days was crushed garlic with milk. So similar thing, you take some crushed garlic and you would swallow it down with milk, and the milk, the lactose in the milk, the parasites would start eating, but they would be killed by the garlic. And then
Oh,
you have
interesting.
other tinctures and stuff. There's some
Yep.
wormwood,
Wormwood. Yeah.
uh, cloves.
Yeah.
There's definitely different ways to rid yourself of uh, an overabundance of parasites, and you see it when you pass it in your stool.
Right. So back to the fasting. So I guess if you're getting these symptoms, that could be an indication that you have other things to deal with, right? So now if you're fasting, do you think that would kill the parasites as well, just by starving them? Or I guess they have some eggs, right? I think that's what they do
Yeah.
when they have no food, that they start laying the eggs. So they'll come back in like 30 days. So probably you're not going to get rid of it, but it could be an indication that you might have other things to deal with when you're fasting. It could be like if you have headaches and you feel major fatigue and things like that, could be an
Hmm.
indication that you have to do some cleansing on the parasite.
You just mentioned parasite eggs can last for 30 days. And so
Yeah,
even if you fast for 30 days, you're not going to overcome them necessarily.
that's
When
right.
when it comes to parasites, you do cycles. So you'll do a 7 day parasite cleanse, with the papaya seeds, with the honey, with the garlic, maybe with
Mm.
the tinctures, and then you'll cycle off that. Try and eat healthy. A lot of you want digestive enzymes. You want to be eating pineapple, eating the papaya, because that helps your body digest and remove those toxins, and
So,
then you'll
so,
cycle
so
back onto those again.
yeah. So Josh, what was it for you that you started doing all this fasting? And I know that you had some really, really big ones, which with the juice fasting, which I think I'm pretty sure you wanted to get to next. But what was the main reason for you to start doing these things?
Well, the biggest reason for me was just health related issues. I mean, I was having psoriasis, brain fog. I was getting rashes on my just little small little rashes on my face.
Mm.
Overall feeling of well-being was not good. Suffering with depression type symptoms, anxiety type symptoms,
Which
and
is all connected now, right? Like when you have inflammation in your gut, that is connected. They're saying now your gut is connected with your brain, so that is causing all these other problems, which is super interesting, right?
yeah, no, exactly. And trying to understand the gut brain connection and what might be going on with our bodies, how to heal the body, right? I mean, the body can heal itself, and you just have to give it the tools to do so. It's just we're not given or taught how to do that. And
That's right. We are all just being told, like, hey, here's some pills, right, to address the symptoms, but they're not treating the cost, which I think that a lot of people actually giving out the power of the body to heal itself because there's this, authority for doctors and whatever they say, it's the gold. And sometimes we can do and let the body to do its job and let give it the space or room like to actually do the cleansing and through the fasting and help it to recover, right, and fix those issues or get rid of the toxicity that you've accumulated over the years, but by just overeating and eating things that you see now, there's everything, if it's not organic, and I think some of the organic stuff even have toxins on there, right, because they're
mhm.
it's just the way it is now, so you have to be very cautious about it, and it's just everything adds up, right, if you're eating certain things or certain food for 10-15 years, now that small amount of pesticides or whatever that was,
And
it's
metals,
just
there's
storing in
also,
your
yeah.
metals, heavy metals. Yeah, it's storing in your body, right? And if you don't help or give the body chance to get rid of by through fasting, it'll just keep accumulating, right? And then now you have um, too many heavy metals in your body. Now your liver is not working properly, right? And so it's all now you have the main problems, right? You have autoimmune diseases because your body can't function properly, your immune system is all off, your hormones are all off. It's creates havoc in your body.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I caution people too is to, at first don't go more than 3 days your first water fast. Unless your body's in tip-top condition, because it's very difficult on your body to remove those toxins.
Right. So now let's focus on if you're want to get into this and you're planning to do some fasting, how often should you be doing? Like, is it not, it's once a year, once a month? What would you suggest? Like if you really want to give the body the chance to heal itself, what would be a schedule that you can implement for you to have it as a part of your routine, I guess?
I would suggest once a year. To do anything more than that, not only is challenging, but most people won't do it. So if we
Right.
have different months where we do, say sober October, pick a month, and my preferable month is typically January, for a couple of reasons. One, the food supply is weak in January for where we live. It's winter time, and you're eating a lot of storage foods, which still can be good for you, but the nutrient levels are at its lowest anyway. So I find January is the best month, and then it's also a chance for you to kind of cleanse after maybe a little bit of
Mm,
celebratory New Year's and
holidays.
Christmas.
Yeah.
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 Uh,
Yeah.
but and just to touch on juice fasting, so I prefer juice fasting myself. I've done a 21-day juice fast. Um,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's a lot easier than the water fasting because you're going to get nutrients. You're going to get the nutrients that you need. But the only thing that I do preface that is that it is very important that if you are going to do a juice fast, that you're using a cold press juicer or a masticating juicer. And that's because you'll have a higher nutrient retention. If you're using a juicer with blades, the heat
Mm-hmm.
it will heat up the enzymes in the juice, and it will actually you need to drink the juice quite quickly.
Yeah, I think you
Uh,
have like 4 minutes, and I think it's also the oxidization, right? Like it just
mhm.
it oxidizes all the stuff too quickly, and then it just doesn't last too long.
Right, and if you're using a cold press juicer, you can make it and you can store it in your fridge for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you're not having to juice every morning. I prefer to juice every morning when I'm doing a cleanse, just because I psychologically feel like the nutrients are better than the third day of juice. Especially when you're doing like a celery juice cleanse. And my juice cleanse too can be what I make juice is based off of what I need for different parts of my body. So I'm not always just having the same types of juice. I might do that. I've done a 6 month celery juice cleanse where I still had food, but I had celery juice every morning, and that was my breakfast and with
Mm-hmm.
no lunch, which I found to be very helpful. And then there's times where I've in the fall where I've juiced pumpkin, and
Mm.
it tastes like you're eating a pumpkin, drinking a pumpkin pie. It's using the fruits and vegetables that are in season as well that can be very, very helpful. But celery cleanse is always a good fallback if you're not sure, because it has a lot of uh, salts and nutrients in it to help with a
Right.
cleanse.
And that's from the medical medium. I think that's the guy that's sort of started saying how good it is and all this benefits and how it kills the bacteria, all bad bacteria and all the viruses and all that, right? So it's a
Hmm. The other thing I'll just touch on too is when you do a juice fast, or a celery juice fast, juice garlic and ginger, and you mix that with honey, and some ground up papaya seeds. That'll clean your help your gut right away. But it can be a
mm,
little painful at first because ginger is very good for your stomach, but can take a few days to get used to. When you do a juice fast, you're also able to eliminate toxins, if you're using the proper vegetables. I try not to use too many fruits when doing I know they
mm-hmm.
call it a juice fast, but I try not to use too many fruits because fruits are high in sugar and can be high in sugar. Good sugars, of course, but I
Yeah.
try to stick more to the vegetables. It's just when you try and juicing like kale, and you don't get a lot of juice out of it. When you're juicing fruit, you tend to get a lot more out of it.
Right. So
I
the other
will.
really
Mhm.
good one I've been hearing, and I've done it myself, is the red beets and carrots. I think that the red beets are super, super good for you as well. I can't remember now all the benefits, but I'm sure that people can
Yes.
read up on it.
When you juice red beets, and I'm sure you've seen that, is it stains your
Yep.
anything it touches, but
Yep.
it's very good for your heart and blood. If you're having heart issues or you're feeling tired, beet juice is very good. It does have quite a bit of sugar in it, but again, it's natural sugar. And the way, so and I you to ask like, how do you feel when you're doing it before and after? And number one, it's just mental clarity. You're also eliminating instant gratification with food. And when you eliminate instant
Mm.
gratification, especially something as big as that, your mind starts to get freed up.
So is that
Parts.
the dopamine that causes all this like I think that's what it is, right? Because you feel satisfied, meets your needs, and it's like a really like especially like I guess sugar, it's like it triggers the brain. It's like very addictive, right? Substance. So is that what it is or
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we release a lot of dopamine whether we're watching shows or scrolling through Instagram or Facebook or
yep.
Twitter. And it's almost like a drug. And then for some reason, we don't always feel happy afterwards. And that's because we've released a lot of that dopamine. But when you can get into that stage of removing some of that instant gratification, your appreciation for life seems to go up, and you don't really understand why that is, but that's a big factor.
Right. And I think that as you had a good point to touch on is like when you're looking at through all the social media, really what people are sharing on there, even though you have dopamine because you may be seeing some likes and you're seeing things that make you excited and but also it's very negative because you're exposed to all of this highlights of everyone else's life, right? And you don't
Mm-hmm.
see that they have problems and you think like, oh, I'm the only one that doesn't have this amazing life. And literally they're just sharing maybe the 2 weeks that they have in their year that they went travel and all of it, and that's all you see from all the people, and you feel like, hey, my life sucks because I haven't been to Hawaii or somewhere, right? Like I didn't do all this traveling and all this stuff, right? But it could be for them, it could be just that highlight, but that's all you see. You don't see the problems they have, you don't see that they're dealing with other things in life, and you just see all the positive.
Another type of fast that we haven't talked about is digital fasting and
Oh yes.
fasting from social media. If you want to feel crappy about yourself, oftentimes it's just simply looking at how well others are doing. I mean, you want your friends and family to be successful and happy,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't get to see all the troubles they go through. And because of that,
That's right.
we the way to build the relationships with people is through adversity. And when all you see is positives from others and how amazing their life is, even though they are going through challenges, and we all struggle, we all have our struggles. It can be disheartening to our own lives and can actually build resentment towards those people. Now, not to say that we all do that. I mean, but it can be subconscious because
Mm-hmm.
we want to feel happy and good. So I think doing a digital detox as well, a digital fast, if you will, and getting off of that kind of stuff. I mean, I will do that often, a lot more often than once a year when it comes to, especially like a Facebook or Instagram. I like to stay off of there as much
So
as possible.
how does that look like? You just delete all the apps, or how do you stay away, or you just because I think it must be really difficult for people that they have like there's it's always there's notification coming in, and just not to look if you would see that they're on there would
Yeah.
be almost impossible, right?
For me, it's removing notifications for one, and then
Yep.
but I'll still keep the apps on my phone, but I feel like I have more self-control. If you have lower self-control, then obviously it's best to remove those from your phone and maybe keep it on an iPad or something or a different device,
Mm-hmm.
or you have to log in on your computer or something to see it. So it's an extra step. It all just depends on your self-control. Why? What about you, Michael? Do you have to remove it right from your phone?
Yes, that's what I did in the past, and I tell you, like it was much better. I felt much better because I they're back on there again, and I think that as you said, it's not for me. It's more the news, right? I like to know what's going on in the world and all of this, but obviously that, and even though I know it, I still keep doing it, right? Because you want to be in the know and be prepared. But I'm also looking for different opportunities and kind of seeing where everything is heading with now. It's from the blockchain technology and crypto, and and you have the war and politics and everything. So there's obviously a lot of things I'd like to pay attention, but as you know, there is all the news are pushing a fear, right? Because that's what gets us and what gives them our attention. So a lot of it's very negative, and when you have fear, you're in the lower vibration and you're not as motivated. It takes away the energy and everything. So I think it's very important to also go on the news fast, right? And cut all of that out, because really we're paying attention to all these things that we have zero control over. And it creates anxiety because now you're worried about the future, and that's not a good place to be, right? Or some people start
Mm.
living in the past and they're like, oh, it used to be much better when these people were at power and whatever, right? And now they're living in the past. They're not present, and that's the only place where you can make changes in your life, right? So eliminating the news is a big one. I think that really helps you to be more centered, more grounded, and it's super important to be aware of that.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Everybody's different, and maybe for your job, you need to keep up with certain social media, or you. I know people who that they do social media for their job, so
Yep.
um, it just what we're doing right now is technically social media. So
Yep.
yeah, it's you have to decide what level that you can maintain, and then if you need to do a fast once in a while for it, it is beneficial.
If you're interested in exploring more topics like today's or have suggestions for future discussions, we'd love to hear from you. So please leave a comment below. To find out where you stand in the three core areas of your life, health, wealth, and relationships, take our free assessment at liferocketuniversity.com. We will see you next time at the Life Rocket University Studios.